Welcome back everyone to the channel, and as you can tell from the title and also the car that's sitting right behind me, today's video is special because we are finally not doing a video on the CLA 45, but today we actually have a very special car, the 2021 Audi RS6. And this car in particular is actually a one of two in the United States because there is something a little more special about this one than any other RS6s, which I'll be getting into detail very soon. Before we begin today's video, I do want to give a quick shout out to McLaren of Boston for allowing me to come in and shoot their RS6, which is in their inventory. So if you are looking for an Audi RS6, click the link in the description to purchase this car or any other RS6s, or if you want to buy a McLaren, just visit their website. So anyways, let's begin today's video. So I think the perfect place to start with the Audi RS6 is the exterior because of how aggressive this car looks, especially even in a wagon form. I'm just amazed by how much road presence this thing has. I think it mostly has to do with how aggressive the front bumper is. Now, speaking of the front bumper, this is the new RS design that's incorporated on the RS6 and the RS7 and the upcoming new RS3. It still incorporates the honeycomb design that RS Audis are known for, which I'm really glad that they kept that. Then you have the lower intakes right here, and I mean, it just looks so aggressive. The grille does look a little bit too big. I think it works really well, especially with the front design, and it just looks so aggressive, and I love it. The one thing I don't like about it is the radar sensors for the adaptive cruise control. I think they could have done a little bit better incorporating, instead of having two square blocks on the front end. But again, it's black, it blends in with the grille, it just looks perfect. The one cool thing about the RS6 is that it actually uses the lights from the Audi A7 rather than the Audi A6, and they did this because the A7 lights just work really well with the front bumper, and also they are a little bit more aggressive than the A6 lights, so I'm glad Audi did that. But as you step back, you can see the aggressive lines, especially coming from the hood. You see those four lines going across and then the lines across the side, and it just works really well with this wagon design, and I'm just in love with this car. And I think if I needed a daily, I would definitely choose this just based on exterior looks. So now that we're here in the rear, let's talk about how amazing the rear looks. I mean, most cars nowadays, I have a problem with either the front end looks really good and the rear looks bad, or the rear looks really good and the front looks bad. But with Audi RS6, both the front and rear look so aggressive, and I mean, it's just my favorite car right now just based on looks. So as you can see, this car does incorporate the RS design tailpipes because it is an RS6. It does have the oval shape that most RSs are known for. I mean, look how big it is. I can fit my whole fist right into there, and I think that's my favorite part of RS6s because you can definitely tell that it's an RS6 just based on those tailpipes. Now, the diffuser, I will say, is not as aggressive as the front. I think they could have done a little bit better of a job because this is just black plastic. It's not like carbon. They could have probably done something a little bit better to make it look more aggressive, but you know, for stock, it doesn't look bad. You can definitely go ABT or a different company to get a better diffuser. But overall, that rear end just looks so amazing and aggressive, and it does have the incorporated black stripe across to bring in the rear lights together. And I mean, this wagon shape is just amazing. Now we move on to the wheels, which the wheels are actually 22-inch wheels. They're huge, but with this wagon, I think 22-inch wheels are needed because they just look very aggressive and they fill that wheel gap, and it just doesn't look like there's much gap at all. And I don't know, I think the 22-inch is a must if you're buying an Audi RS6. So as you can see right behind those 22-inch wheels, the huge carbon ceramic discs, which you can see the carbon flakes right there. I mean, this is a must for the stopping power on this wagon because of how much this car weighs, but you can tell that these are carbon ceramics just based on the gray color on the caliper. Audi ceramics are always that color, not red or black. Of course, you can get it colored whatever you want, but if you see these on an Audi, you know it has the stopping power of carbon ceramics. I think they're a lot more useful on a daily use because they don't wear out as much and they don't produce as much brake dust, which makes it a lot more useful, especially for daily driving. But if you're on a track, you obviously want steels. Now, the one great thing about the carbon ceramics is they actually are in the rear as well. So sometimes car manufacturers will put carbon ceramics on the front, but they won't put it on the rear. But Audi knew that this car needed all four to be carbon ceramics, and here you go. With 590 horsepower, you definitely need the stopping power of carbon carbon ceramics. So now that we're talking about the exhaust, I think it's time to talk about what the engine packs. So this does have a 590 horsepower V8 with a mild hybrid system. And this is actually used from the Panamera Turbo S, which I think is a perfect engine to use because the RS5 and the RS4 actually use a V6. And I'm not really a big fan of V6s. I like flat sixes, but V6 is not a big fan, so I'm really glad Audi incorporated a V8 rather than a V6. And I mean, this car does sound pretty good from stock, which I will give you a quick rev clip of this car. It's not as good as it should be, but it is because of the filters that it needs for European regulations. So oh well, you can't get a aftermarket exhaust to make it sound amazing. The one thing about engine bays and Audis is the ECU actually doesn't have a cover, and it looks like it's missing something, but they just leave it like that. I'm not sure why, but I think a carbon cover would look really good. Overall, engine bay looks pretty clean, and it has a V8, so you can't complain at all. So now that we've gone over the exterior details, before we hop in, I say let's do a quick sound test of what this car sounds like in the different modes, which is the closed valves and then the sport dynamic mode with the valves open. Now that you heard what this car sounds like, it does have a nice deep growl to it, but unfortunately Audis do have soft limiters, so it does stop at 4,000 RPM when you are parked, so you can't rev it too high, but I guarantee if you could get to high RPMs, it would sound a lot nicer. It does have a little bit of a muffle because of those filters from the EU regulations, but like I said, if you do a custom exhaust, this thing would probably sound amazing. Now we finished the sound test, let's move on to the interior. I think it's time to go over this nice and cozy interior that this Audi has. Even the outside looks aggressive, but the interior also looks very aggressive as well. Starting with the door panels, you can see it does have the carbon pack, so it does have carbon panels right here, and it actually feels very like rigid, like it feels like real carbon, and that goes throughout the cabin as well. Then you have Alcantara on the side with red stitching, and you also have aluminum on the door panel to complement the Alcantara and the carbon as well. Now you move on to the seats, and it does have the red stitching and also incorporates that honeycomb design that you saw on the grille is also on the seats with this nice supple leather. And also the real cool thing is the seat belts actually also have a red stitching on the side. And although my car has all red seat belts and I really like those, I think having a, like a small mild red accent on seat belts look amazing as well. You can see Alcantara on the center console right there, and also the all Alcantara steering wheel, flat bottom, which is what makes this car so special, is that US cars do not have all Alcantara wheels as an option. This is a Canadian import, so it does have this wheel. So as you see, the carbon does flow throughout the interior as well up here on the dashboard. I really like how it has kind of like a dual layer dashboard with the fans up here and then the carbon and the gloss black down here. You do have the dual screens that Audi is known for right now. Not a lot of people like it, but I can say with my dad's Audi A8L, they really aren't that bad to have the climate control down here. Although it is optimal to have buttons, it really isn't as bad as people think. And you can just see how amazing this interior looks, especially with the exterior looks. It has the interior to match it up. This also does have the all Alcantara gear selector, which I'm a big fan of, but obviously when you're using this as a daily driver, the oils on your hands will make this a little bit dirty, so you got to make sure you clean this as often as you can so it doesn't get all mucky and gross. The one thing I do not like is how much black gloss plastic there is throughout, because this does get fingerprints and just dust collects very easily, but thankfully it does have carbon to back it up, so it isn't too bad. And overall, I mean, this interior is just amazing. So what's great about the Audi RS6 is that it does incorporate the Audi virtual cockpit, which in my opinion is the industry leading right now, better than BMW and better than even my Mercedes. As you can see, it does have the nice RS design tachometer right in the middle, and it also has the gauges over here to give you power and torque, and also a G meter, so everything you need in a 590 horsepower wagon. Now if you click the view button down here, it does change to like a normal setup, and you can go down to any information you want, media or navigation. But if you click view, then you get that nice incorporated rev meter and also the gauges, like I said, and also navigation. So it is customizable, and I really like this design for the tachometer because I just think it looks really aggressive. It also does have heads-up display, which you can't see. It displays the same exact thing that you see in the virtual cockpit. So with the rear seats, you get the same design, carbon on the sides, Alcantara, aluminum, and then also the honeycomb stitching, red stitching throughout the cabin as well. The one great thing about the wagon is that you do get the headroom of that amazing roof line, so you can fit pretty much anyone in there. These are freshly vacuumed back seats, so I'm not going to sit in the back seats to show you how you fit in because that's just rude. You can push the seats down for optimal trunk space. So if we move back to the trunk, you can see why wagons are superior. You get that automatic trunk and you get that amazing trunk room, especially when you fold down the seats. You can basically fit really anything in this rear, and that's what makes this such a good daily driver, is because you can move, you can do anything, fit skis, fit snowboards, fit golf clubs, pretty much anything you want in this car, and you have 590 horsepower to back you up. So that about wraps it up for today's video, which is a quick overview on the exterior and interior of the 2021 Audi RS6. Thank you again, McLaren of Boston, for letting me shoot this car. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments below if you guys want me to do videos on different cars. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel because there are more reviews on different cars coming very soon. But thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.